Thank you. It's day 2 of First Lady Dr. Jill Biden's visit to Northeast Wisconsin. Today she's making stops in Neopit and Kashina after spending time in Green Bay yesterday. Kristen Allen is live in Kashina this morning. So what's on the First Lady's agenda there today?
Tammy, today the First Lady will be here at the College of Menominee Nation, and she'll be doing a couple things here today. One of them this afternoon, she will be participating in a Women's Empowerment Summit. She will also be learning about the tribe's sustainability and community education here while she is on campus. The White House also says the First Lady will tour the Menominee Tribal Enterprises sawmill in Neopit to learn about the Menominee tribe's sustainable forest management. Last night, the First Lady was in Green Bay at an event hosted by the American Cancer Society, the NFL Crucial Catch Monday Night Football Watch Party. Cancer has impacted the Biden family. First Lady Biden had skin cancer removed earlier this year, and her stepson, Beau Biden, died in 2015 of brain cancer. The Bidens know all too well that cancer can impact anyone. This is also part of the Biden Cancer Moonshot, which is an initiative started by President Biden when he was vice president back in 2016. The main goal of the Cancer Moonshot is to help prevent more than 4 million cancer deaths by 2047.
We all know that one of the best ways to fight cancer is to catch it early. And I know you're so busy taking care of everyone else in your families and in your lives, but I'm asking you to put your health first.
And First Lady Jill Biden is expected to wrap up her visit later this afternoon. Our Jason Zimmerman will have a full report this evening. Reporting live in Kashina, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News.